Morning, Felicity.
Good morning. How are you on this last few days up to Christmas?
I know, how quick's the year gone? How
Wow.
quick?
Well, it's a strange
Crazy.
one, isn't it? Because it's gone really quickly in some ways, and then when you look back and think, what's happened, there's lots of
Mm,
periods of not a
mm,
lot of movement, have there? But it is
yeah,
what it is. So
yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
been a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, lots of lessons to learn from it. So that's why we decided today, didn't we, to look at our takeaways from 2020 and what we'd
Yes,
like to take into 21. So
definitely,
2021, so
definitely.
yeah. So come on, start sharing yours. What was some of the ones that you've come up with? I know you had four,
Okay,
didn't you,
so
in total?
do you know what? There's so many. When we
Hmm.
were brainstorming this and I was writing them down, there was
Mm,
just so many that just kept coming to mind.
mm,
Um, but I feel like this year for me, as much as it's been a challenging one with everything that's
mm,
been going on,
mm,
and I feel like there's been lots of ups and downs. One minute you feel like you're on track and you're getting to where you want to go, and that's you know in business and personally.
mm.
In my personal life with the family and everything that we've had going on with the kids and school and stuff like that, then I sometimes feel like you're just heading in the right direction, and then something comes and slaps you in the face to say, no, you get back. You
Mm,
get
mm,
back. Now, that
mm,
could be your thinking, that could be
mm,
something that happens, in your environment.
mm.
Um, but there's been so much I feel I've achieved this year and I've
Yeah,
accomplished this year. Because I definitely think
absolutely,
for
you
me,
have.
this year has definitely been a focus on with Yellow Brick Roads. It was something I've been working on for a while, but this year I went, right, this is gonna be my main
Mm,
focus.
mm.
Um,
Well, you've achieved so much. I think, and I say that you should be so proud of yourself at what you've developed this new business, and you've
mm,
really given it legs. You're out there doing stuff, and you've got membership site, you've got coaching, you've got your
mm,
program. So you should be really
mm.
proud of yourself, Emma, to have achieved so much in such a short period of time.
Thank you, thank you. But it hasn't come without its challenges.
Mm,
So if I was going to share the biggest takeaways for me for this year, um, one would be to have your vision, know where it is that you're heading, have your goal,
yeah,
make sure that you break it down and you focus on the process. You don't
yeah,
actually focus on the final bit, the big goal. Because I know for me, and this is what I did at the beginning of the year, I had an idea of
mm,
where I wanted to take it, what I wanted to achieve this year. But the goal that I wanted to achieve, I haven't actually reached.
mm,
I haven't
mm.
I haven't reached that yet. So say, whatever that was, I haven't got to that point yet. And I think then come the end of the year, you can look back and you can beat yourself up a bit because
Yeah,
it's like, well, I
totally.
didn't get to where I
Hmm.
wanted to go, and I
Hmm.
said I was going to achieve this. But actually, by breaking it down and then celebrating those small wins and the things that you have achieved, it sort of builds the momentum, and keeps you motivated to keep on keeping
Totally,
on, to keep on
totally.
going. So I think it's
Mm,
really important that you have a vision for where you want to go, have that big goal, but make sure that you break it down and you make those small goals, those small steps, achievable steps. And
mm.
then make sure you reward yourself when you achieve those milestones.
Yeah, very
Um,
nice.
that's something that I definitely don't tend to do. I'm on to the next thing and then on to the next thing. But actually, like I say, for building momentum and keeping you motivated and keeping you going,
Yeah,
you need to do that.
yeah,
Another one for me is making sure you always believe in yourself.
yeah. And tell us a bit
Always.
about that.
Well, I think again, it's good to look back over your achievements and see what you've achieved, because that's what's going to inspire you and
Mm,
help you move on
mm,
to the
mm, mm,
next
mm.
thing.
Yeah,
So belief for me is one of those things. I believe in my vision, what it is I
yes.
want to achieve. That's what
Hmm.
pulls me. That's like my why, the reason I'm doing what I'm
Mm,
doing. But like with all of us, the self-doubt kicks in. And that's something, and I talk about this all the time. Confidence, self-doubt is something I'm
mm,
working on every day.
mm, mm.
Um, but it still comes. There's still a thought that might
Yeah.
come in, or something that's said. I've been blogging, and I've had a couple of comments that have come up on my blogs, and some of them are just really random and just a bit dodgy.
Mm,
And when you sort of think, oh, really? Am I actually getting out, and is it inspiring the right people?
yeah,
I don't want to hear comments like that. Some of them are a
yeah,
bit sleazy.
yeah.
Um, and then it sometimes puts you back. It pushes you back, and you start
Mm,
doubting: is this the right? Should
mm,
I be
mm,
taking
mm,
this step, or should I be focusing on something else? So
mm.
I think it's really important to always come back to the reason you're doing what you're doing, and really have
Nice.
that belief in yourself that
Very nice.
you can just take the next step to get you to where you want to go.
Mm.
um
And when we measure it and we record it, when we're having a day where we're lacking in self-belief, we can go back and look at those journal entries, can't we? And think, yeah,
Definitely.
actually, no, that
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. And it's horrible to get trolls, but you know what? A friend of mine said to me, well, you're doing something right. If you're actually starting to attract that kind of negative attention, then
Yes.
you're getting a wider reach. It's not just your friends and family, and that's just
Yes.
all part of being a public figure, isn't it?
Definitely. And again, that's a, that's you learning, which is another
Yes.
takeaway that I have,
Yeah.
is you learning, okay, that's come up. How do I overcome that? What do I
Yeah,
do
totally.
about it? What's the next
Totally.
step I can take?
Yeah.
If this thought's coming into my head, I don't want to be
Yeah.
thinking in that way,
Yeah.
because then you start doubting yourself. And with doubt, we don't take very much action.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, right, okay, you learn through that process, don't you? And
Totally.
that's another one of my key takeaways, is to keep learning and keep growing.
Lovely.
And focusing on just one thing at a time, one thing at a time.
And why is that? Why have you, because you're always so busy and you're brilliant at taking action. I know you don't think you are, but you are. You're really, really motivated and you do take action, which is the whole thing. It's great to have a vision, isn't it? But unless you're actually implementing that, and it doesn't mean we can't course correct, but why have you decided one thing at a time then?
Because I feel that if you don't, it becomes very overwhelming. And I
Sure.
think that
Yeah.
can really stop you in your tracks.
Yeah.
So, an example of that was this website. So, building my website, I've had a guy who's amazing, a foreign chap, and he's been helping me build it. But obviously, there's still all this stuff that you have to create when you're building a
Yes,
website.
of course. Content. Yeah.
Content, you've got to send over the
Mm.
graphics, you've got to give them an idea of where you want stuff. So it does take a bit of time.
Mm.
And the whole website thing, I do think nowadays is there a real need for a website? A lot of
Really?
content you can put out there. Well, I do, because I think it's all about landing pages. I know landing
Yeah.
pages is a website in
Yeah.
effect,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't need all of the fluff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
need somewhere where people can come, they can see what you've got to offer, and they can maybe opt in to receive more content or information or whatever it is from you. I don't feel you need a whole big website singing and dancing. But this is just an example. So when I was looking at amending it, and when I first did it, and I've got it there, and I'm saying to Matt, I'm not quite happy with it, and I don't like that bit, and I'm not sure about that bit, and it was just a process, because it's one of those things. And Matt said to me, you'll start it and you'll change it, and it will change, and you'll add bits to
Yeah.
it, and you'll take bits off, and you
It'll
might have some
evolve.
opt-ins. That's right, it'll evolve over time.
Mm.
But when you say to yourself, right, I'm going to build a website,
Mm.
people, if you're looking to go into business and you're thinking, right, I feel I need a website, you then go, right, where do I even start? And it's such a big, you see it as being such a big task,
Yeah,
of
totally.
all of the
Totally.
things that you need to do to pull that
Mm.
together.
Mm.
um, so I really think it's important just to break it down and just focus on one thing, because it stops you becoming overwhelmed. The more overwhelmed we become, the less action we take,
Yeah.
and it puts us back, or we start finding excuses and reasons why we're not going to do it. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that piece of,
Mm-hmm.
it might be that piece of work's going to take me a few hours. I haven't got a few hours yet. So I'm going to focus on the little stuff. That's the easy
Yes.
stuff, but the easy stuff
Yes.
doesn't always give you the rewards,
The results. Yeah.
the results and the rewards that you want it to give you. It's just
Yeah.
the simple
The
tasks,
easy option. Yeah.
the easy
Yeah.
options, totally. So I think it's really important just to focus on one thing at a time, and not
Mm-hmm.
become overwhelmed with all the things that you want to achieve. And it is
Mm.
just having that vision, breaking it down, and taking one small step. And I will say, in the process of all of this, so mine was knowing your big goal but breaking it down, believing in yourself, keep learning, keep growing.
Yeah. Nice.
You have to be yourself in what it is that you're looking to do.
Absolutely.
Don't
Yeah.
need to be anybody else. And I think that comes down to belief, doesn't it? Because if you've really got that belief in yourself and your mission, what it is that you're trying to achieve and accomplish,
Mm.
you will get there, and it will feel so authentic and real to you, rather than
Mm.
looking at what everyone else is doing and thinking, oh,
Mm.
I've got to do that, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do that. Just step back, understand why you're doing what you're doing, build your plan of action, the action that you're going to take it one step at a time, and just be yourself in the process. That's the biggest thing, actually, to be yourself.
Yeah. because you've got unique gifts and talents that are going to resonate with certain people. Won't
Mm,
resonate with everybody, but that doesn't matter. We don't want everyone as our customers. We want our tribe, so that we can really connect with them, they can connect with us, and we as the people delivering the products and services can really add value to those people, the value that they want, which will be
mm.
different from some other people's tribe, won't it?
Definitely, definitely. But that self-doubt kicks in, doesn't it? Sometimes I think we sometimes think, oh, is someone, do people really want that? Or, you're
Mm,
creating a product and you're thinking, oh, is that going to sell? Or, but
mm,
actually, if
mm.
you believe in it, you've got to go with it.
Yeah,
You've got to
yeah,
really go
totally,
with it, put the
totally.
action in place, and you learn as you go.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this takeaway from the year about authenticity is very much one of mine as well,
Yeah.
and it's very important that we, I mean, when we start off and we're enthusiastic, particularly in the personal development industry, there are so many great speakers out there, and you think, oh, I want to be like that. So, I came into this market through Tony Robbins, and like Tony
Mm,
Robbins is just, he's one of the fathers of coaching and all the rest of
mm,
it, and he's been doing it 30-40 years, but he's a huge American man. I'm not
mm,
that.
mm,
So while there's things I can take away from that, as in his focus and his standards of excellence,
mm,
that's not who I'm going to be. And I'm quite a feminine woman, and I
mm,
want to be that. I can
mm,
remember when I was trying to model this one and model that one, and I've seen other really great people do it. When they're trying to model other people, even if they're brilliant role models, you do lose a little bit of yourself. And I can remember, I
mm,
won't mention his name but I can remember someone I really looked up to, did some work with for a while, in the personal development arena. And when he was on stage, he's so charismatic, and so, I mean, he's really got a big heart. He does he walks his talk. But,
mm,
and this might have been a self-confidence issue for him,
mm,
he was sharing some of the stories as though they
mm,
were his own, and I knew they weren't. They were
mm,
this guru guy's story, and I was like, wow, why are you doing that?
mm,
You've got your
mm,
own really inspiring stories,
mm,
and they just lost something because they weren't
mm,
his. So I think
mm,
it's so important that we, particularly in personal development work, we're not selling accounting or
mm,
or I don't know, fitness equipment. It's when
mm.
we're sharing growth. I think it's so important that we're authentic.
Definitely.
Mm.
Definitely. So tell us, so one of yours is authenticity.
Yeah, definitely. And
What
part of
else do you
that, so
have?
I'm looking behind because I got it on the board. Um, so part of that authenticity, not only being myself, but with my business, am I running it the way that I choose to run it? Now, um, I'm 10 years older than you. I'm a bit more than that, I think. So I can remember when I first started, when I first left British Airways, I was like, right, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to come in. I'm going to, do all this training, world domination, all of this. And now I'm like, actually, I want to slow my pace a bit.
Mm,
So I may not generate the massive, empire that I
mm,
might have once been interested in, but that's all right.
mm,
So I'm going to work at the pace that works for me. And remember, why I got into this was to have that lifestyle balance. And I mean, I felt it's quite funny. I caught myself the other day. My accountant was talking to me because I'm able to furlough myself because I'm company director. And she
mm.
said, so just let me know how many hours you've done in November. And he said, because, you do an 8-hour day, so just work out. And I thought, no, I don't. I
Yeah.
haven't done a 8-hour day. I didn't get into this business to do 8-hour days, 5 days a week. And but that's my choice. That's
Yeah.
my vision. And I do, and sometimes I work longer than that. But
Mm,
it's, for me, authenticity. We talk about branding, don't we? We talk
yeah.
about
Yeah.
what's my business brand? And you know what, for me, even that's not really resonated as much as it did at once. Because for me, branding is about personality. What I
Yes.
want my business to be built on is character.
Mm,
What's the
mm,
character of my business for the
mm,
long game? So, again, same as you, I've looked at what's my vision, what are my values, and I'm so passionate about what I do, and it's a different kind of facet, um, to the work that you do, but it is about supporting people to be their best selves, for them to,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, to learn and grow, to be happier and more fulfilled.
Mm,
So I do it around working with people to support them having difficult conversations, from that right through to
mm,
mediation.
mm,
But I'm passionate about it because conflict can cause us so much distress, but also the avoidance of conflict can cause us even more distress.
mm,
So it's really passionate in my, it's a real subject I'm really passionate about, and it's really in my heart. I know that this is my purpose and I'm good at it. Other people aren't, you know, more avoidant about it, but
mm,
and even that, it's like, okay, right now people are still quite resistant. In fact, I've had so many people say to me, don't use the phrase difficult conversation, use something else. And I'm like, well, no, because that's what we're talking about. And I want people to become comfortable
mm,
around the
mm,
idea of difficult conversations.
mm.
So it's understanding it's the long game. We've talked about this, haven't we?
Yeah,
This is my
definitely.
vision, this is my purpose. I'm going to continue until I get, you know, in my inner compass, I get the guidance that it's not for me to be doing this anymore. But right now I really truly believe it is.
Mm,
And I've thankfully some wonderful role models like Jay Shetty. I can
mm,
remember him talking, you know, in Think Like a Monk, when he said he was working at Accenture. I know
mm,
I've mentioned this already, and he went to give a talk to his colleagues, and nobody turned up,
mm,
but he gave the talk anyway because he felt that the message deserved to be spoken.
mm,
That's where I'm at. And also, when I interviewed Aviva Wittenberg Cox from 21st, she was one of the pioneers of the idea of being gender balanced rather than equality, but saying, you know, how can we balance the equation? And she said at the beginning, one of her biggest challenges, she was doing it, no one else was doing it. And they were, you
mm,
know, looking at her as if she was crazy. And is this an anti feminist message?
mm.
But now it's really embraced in all the big corporations. And she's, you know, been interviewed BBC, Telegraph,
Mm,
Forbes magazine, Harvard Review, all of these. But
mm,
she, at the beginning, could have given up, could have doubted herself.
mm, mm.
So, so that's that. What's the other one? Simplify. Simplify is
Yes.
my third one. You know, we've talked a lot about. I don't want to be a busy fool. I
Mm,
really want to add value to my tribe and
mm,
have that richness of my life.
mm,
So I'm stripping out the things that aren't serving the business vision.
mm,
And that's a little bit scary to
mm,
do,
mm,
but I think it's definitely worthwhile. And sometimes that we need to allow space
mm.
for something new to come in.
Yes, definitely. I love that. And I think anyone listening that's looking at create, going into business or in business, something along those lines that I did, which I found
Mm.
really worked for me, was actually what are the values that my business holds? What
Yes.
is it that my
What does it
business
stand
is
for?
underpinned? Yeah,
Yes.
what does it stand for? And I have five. So that's belief, courage, growth, learn, and friendship. So
Lovely.
they're the
Lovely.
sort of values. So everything that, like you've said, everything that I'm looking
Mm.
to do, I'm like, does it do those where
Does
do
it
those values come
align
in?
with those
Yeah,
values? Yeah,
where do
very
those
nice.
values come into
Yeah,
that piece? And if they
yeah.
don't, then I don't need to do them.
Oh,
So
I
I
love
think
that. That really helps you simplify, doesn't it?
it does, yeah, and I think
Mm,
it's great for like anyone looking to move into something. They can go, right, well, what is it? What are the
mm,
values that I want the business
mm,
to be about? And
mm.
then you can just get rid of stuff if it doesn't
Yeah,
align with it.
very nice.
Mm,
That's a lovely takeaway for me. I mean, I've got a whole list of values up there, but I
mm,
had been thinking about, well, I need to refine them. So
mm,
that's beautiful. I love that, Emma. Thank you. And
mm,
because for me, for the new, just this is just for people listening as well, because I'm pivoting slightly into mediation
mm.
as my primary focus, as and when I can ever actually to practice. But anyway, that's another story. I'm redoing a business plan to see, you know, and that I've looked at the values and things for particularly for the mediation side of the business. And if the listeners want a really good one that's a heartfelt business plan, on Enterprise Nation website, Emma Jones has put together one. And I love Emma Jones. She's got such an amazing vision. And that's partly why Enterprise Nation is this awesome platform that she's founded. But she asks you questions which are really heart-centered
Yes.
questions, as well as the business, practical financials as well. So it's free if you want to jump on the Enterprise website and
Take a
download.
look.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
it's
That's a
great
great
though.
place to start. Yeah, fantastic.
So, my dear, what do you want to be taking into 2021 for your business? What's your primary focus?
Yeah, I think that is exactly it. Patience and focus.
Mm.
So, we know Rome wasn't built in a day. I think it's a case of, like with anything, if you really want to achieve something, you find a way of achieving it, don't you? So it's like, right,
You're
for me,
passionate enough.
what do I want to achieve? And I'm looking at breaking it down. So what do I want to achieve for the month of January? What do I want to achieve
Nice.
in my business for the month of February? What do I want to achieve in my business for the month of March, April? Because then, and it's funny, I did a webinar on this just at the weekend, just yesterday, and we were talking about longer term goals, breaking them down into monthly goals, then breaking that down into weekly goals, and then breaking that down into daily goals. So I know for me, it's definitely going to be a case of, right, I've got my online course that I'm just creating at the moment. But because it takes that bit of extra time, it's one that keeps getting put off. I keep making up an excuse as to, I'll do that tomorrow because I'm doing this today. It keeps getting parked.
We're all going to hold you accountable, Emma. Making that a priority, as well as having a rest over Christmas and being with your family.
Totally. So it's definitely focusing on one thing at a time. But that's something I want to have completed by the end of Jan, which it will be. It will be done and dusted by the end of Jan. But yeah, I think it's just a case of getting focused, being consistent. And again, this is something I spoke about yesterday. I think sometimes we think consistency, which it is about, say, if you're creating content, you just start out and you want to get a feel for if people are going to be interested in the product or service that you have to offer. We think about creating a bit of content and we put it out. So we might create some posts, we might write some blogs, however, do videos, whatever it is that works for you. We might do that 3 or 4 times a week, but then we might stop if we're not getting the response that we want. And I think every time when we think about consistency, we think of it over such a short period of time. The majority,
instant society, aren't we?
That's it. The majority of people, women in business, they put something out a few, every day for maybe a few weeks, maybe a couple of months. They're not getting the results, they stop. But one thing, which is another massive takeaway I've learned from this year, it has to be consistently consistent. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be a few times a week, every week for 52 weeks. It has to keep going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because,
it's the long game, isn't it? Consistency for a week isn't consistency. That's a dabble, isn't it? That's
or even
dabbling.
for a month, or even for a year. It's got to be. It's
well, depending on what your goals are. If you've decided to do something for a year and you do it for a year, that's fine. But if yours is to build a legacy business, which yours is, then it could be decades, couldn't it?
It could be a hell of a long time, and I think you've got to be in it. You've got to be in it to win it, and you've got to be in it for the long haul, haven't you? You've got to be.
Totally.
You've got to have that mindset that it is going to take time, and remind yourself of that. Because otherwise it's very easy to fall at the first hurdle because you're not getting the response or the results that you're looking for. So you have to be mindful that this is a process. It's going to take time, and I'm just going to keep at it and keep being consistent with what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you?
So mine, so I had one, and then I've got 0.1, and then I put a 0.0 in front of it. So the first one, I think, if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's taught us that we need to be flexible.
Yes.
So, and the metaphor for me around that is bend like bamboo. So make sure you've got the roots, but bamboo bends in Japan, where it's, a very common plant. They have earthquakes, and it's I can say designed, you know what I mean, it's nature,
it's very strong,
it's very strong, but it's also can bend. And I think
Yeah.
one doesn't cancel out the other. We can be very strong, but we can also be flexible. So we can set
Yes.
our goals and we can set our kind of bigger vision, but
Mm.
also allow ourselves the opportunity to deviate a little bit or go with the curve.
Reroute.
Yeah,
Definitely.
go with
Yeah.
the curveballs when they come up.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise, if we're trying to control everything too rigidly and it doesn't work out exactly like we have expected it to, we're actually, not only will we probably beat ourselves up for not achieving goals, but we're also probably missing those opportunities because we're so focused on, no, it's
Yes.
supposed to be like this. So we're
Yeah.
missing the
Yeah.
opportunities of the curveball that's been thrown for us.
Yes. Love that,
So
Felicity. That's great. Yeah.
thank you. And my big one, and it kind of ties in with the other things about simplifying and authenticity and being true to my company character, is
Mm.
I want to create quality this year in a way that
Mm.
I never have done before. Quality, not
Mm.
quantity. And I
Mm.
think, I am very focused on providing real value, but sometimes I can work really quickly. It doesn't worry me. I'm not
Mm.
a plodder. I can pivot quite
Mm.
quickly, but
Mm.
sometimes the quality can be lost a little bit.
Mm.
So for me this year, I want to be, so the simplifying, what is it I'm really, really about this year? Like you
Mm.
said, one thing at a time, and then do that thing to
Mm.
a level of quality that I haven't done before.
Best
So
your abilities. Yeah.
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 And to, like you've said, learn and grow during the year so that I can fine tune my offering and it just gets better and better. So
Mm.
quite excited about having that clarity is so good. It's like, okay, I've got
Mm.
rid of the white noise. Now I know what I'm focused on. So yeah.
Definitely. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Well, let's do this then. Let's get us.
indeed.
Christmas is this week. I can't believe that. I still have
Yeah.
so much wrapping to do.
Mm.
Christmas is this week, and then yeah, next week. When's the first? What day do we know?
No idea. I never know
Next
what
weekend.
day of the week it is.
Crazy. Yeah, I
20,
think it
20
must be
odd
next
years of
weekend.
flying long haul. I don't know what day of the week it is.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So if you're listening, I hope that's added some value to
Yeah,
you. I
yeah,
think you just
absolutely.
gotta. You've always got to be yourself, haven't you?
Yes.
Make your decisions. Decide what you want to do.
Mm, mm, mm. And
Eliminate the
just
excuses and go for it.
go for it. Go for it. And we wish you a really happy, happy, peaceful Christmas
Yeah,
full of love and kindness and fun,
yeah,
and a great 2021 where
yeah.
the learnings of the 2020 reset
Mm,
can play out, whether it's that you do the pivot, change the life, or whether you do more of what you love where you are.
mm, definitely. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, take care, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We'll
Merry
catch you in
Christmas.
2021.